I'm staring at the pink waitress uniform in my hands, polyester rough against my palms, and I can't remember putting it on. The name tag reads Diane in crooked letters. But that's not my name, is it? The fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting everything in sickly yellow, and I realize I've been standing in this diner's employee break room. For how long? Minutes? Hours? The uniform feels familiar in my grip, like I've held it before, worn it before. Through the thin wall, I hear the coffee machine gurgling, the soft scrape of plates, the whispered conversations of customers who never seem to leave. When did I stop being one of them? When did I become part of the staff? It started simple enough. I was driving through the night, somewhere between Bakersfield and nowhere, when my eyelids grew heavy. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, yellow lines blurring into one continuous streak. That's when I saw it. A lone diner glowing like a beacon in the darkness, its neon sign flickering open 24 hours in cheerful red letters. The parking lot held a few scattered cars, their chrome bumpers catching the light. I pulled in, grateful for a place to rest, to grab coffee and maybe a slice of pie. The building looked standard enough. Brick facade, large windows, that timeless American diner aesthetic. The door chimed as I entered, and the warm air hit me, thick with the scent of coffee and grease. The waitress behind the counter smiled at me, her hair pinned up in a style that seemed both retro and timeless. "Coffee, hun?" she asked, already reaching for a mug. I slid into a red vinyl booth, the material cracked but comfortable. The menu was extensive. Burgers, breakfast served all day, pie that looked homemade in the glass case. I ordered coffee and a slice of apple pie, nothing fancy. The other customers seemed normal enough. A trucker in the corner booth, an elderly couple sharing a late dinner, a businessman typing on his laptop. The coffee arrived hot and strong, the pie perfectly sweet. The waitress chatted briefly about the weather, the long drive ahead. Everything felt wonderfully ordinary, a perfect respite from the lonely highway. That's when I first noticed the clocks. The one above the counter read 2:17, but the digital display on the register showed 2:05. I checked my phone again, still 2:17. The discrepancy nagged at me, a small wrongness in an otherwise normal scene. I tried to shake it off, but my attention kept drifting to the timepieces. The clock on the wall seemed to move sluggishly, its second hand pausing between ticks. When I looked at my phone again, it still read 2:17. The same time, exactly the same. I refreshed the screen, thinking it had frozen, but the display remained unchanged. A strange heaviness settled over me, like the air had thickened. The sounds around me seemed to echo slightly, as if coming from a great distance. I stood to leave, placing a $10 bill on the table. "Thanks for the pie," I called to the waitress, but she was already walking over, her smile wider than before. "Oh, hun, you can't leave yet," she said, her voice sweet but firm. "You haven't finished your coffee." I looked down. The mug was full, steaming as if freshly poured. I was certain I'd drunk most of it. "I really should get going," I insisted, but she gently guided me back to the booth. "Nonsense. It's too late to be driving. Why don't you have another slice? On the house." The trucker in the corner looked up from his meal, his eyes meeting mine with an expression I couldn't quite read. Was it sympathy? Warning? The businessman continued typing, but his screen remained blank. I needed air, needed to clear my head. I walked to the door, but the waitress called out, "Hun, where are you going?" I ignored her and stepped outside. The night air should have been cool, refreshing, but it felt thick, almost viscous. I walked to my car, keys in hand, but stopped at the edge of the parking lot. The road I'd driven in on was gone. Not broken, not under construction, simply not there. The asphalt ended abruptly, dropping it into an inky void that seemed to swallow light. I walked around the building, looking for the highway, but found only darkness stretching in every direction. The diner sat like an island in an ocean of nothing. Its neon sign, the only landmark in an endless black. I burst back through the door, heart pounding. "What is this place?" I demanded. The waitress looked up from polishing glasses, her smile never wavering. "This is Mel's Diner, hun. Best coffee on the highway." "What highway?" I asked. "There's no highway out there. There's nothing out there." She tilted her head, confused. "Of course there is. How else would folks get here?" The other customers continued their activities as if nothing had happened. The trucker took another bite of his burger. The businessman's fingers moved across his silent keyboard. The elderly couple sat frozen, their eyes staring at nothing. "I want to leave," I said, my voice rising. "I need to leave." The waitress's smile flickered for just a moment, like a TV signal cutting out. "Oh, hun," she said softly, "nobody leaves Mel's Diner. Not anymore." The fluorescent lights overhead began to flicker in a rhythm that matched my heartbeat. The waitress moved behind the counter with mechanical precision, her movements too smooth, too practiced. She poured coffee into cups that were already full, wiped down surfaces that were already clean. The trucker's burger never seemed to get smaller, despite his continuous eating. The businessman's typing created no words, no progress, just the endless percussion of keys. The elderly couple's meal grew cold, untouched, while they stared ahead with glassy eyes. When I looked closer, I could see they were breathing, but slowly, as if underwater. The waitress hummed a tune I almost recognized, something from decades past. I approached the trucker, desperate for answers. "How long have you been here?" I whispered. He looked up, his eyes focusing on mine with effort. "Days," he said quietly, "or weeks. Can't tell anymore. Thought I was just stopping for coffee." He gestured to the elderly couple. "They've been here longer, much longer. Sometimes they remember things. Wars, presidents, decades that don't exist anymore." The businessman looked up from his keyboard. "I had a meeting," he said distantly. "Important presentation. That was Tuesday, last Tuesday. But Tuesday keeps happening, over and over." The waitress continued humming, but I could see her watching us, her head tilted slightly, listening. "We're all customers," the trucker continued. "We all just stop for coffee, for food, for a rest. But we never leave." And eventually, he gestured toward the kitchen, where figures moved in the shadows, wearing the same pink uniforms. I ran toward the kitchen, pushing through the swinging doors. Inside, former customers worked with the same mechanical precision as the waitress. A young woman flipped burgers that never finished cooking. An old man washed dishes that never got clean. They all wore the same uniform, the same blank expression, the same gentle smile. I backed away, but the waitress was there, holding out a pink uniform. "It's easier if you don't fight it," she said kindly. "The work keeps you busy, keeps your mind off things. You'll like it here, hun. We're all family." I grabbed a knife from the counter, but it felt heavy in my hands, like it was made of lead. My movements were slow, sluggish. The air itself seemed to resist me. "Why?" I asked. "Why are you doing this?" She tilted her head. "We're not doing anything. This is just what happens. This is what the diner needs. This is what we are now. And now I'm back where I started, holding this uniform, feeling its weight. The name tag says Diane, but I remember my real name, don't I? Sarah. I think it was Sarah. Or was it? The memories feel distant, like they belong to someone else. I can recall fragments, a job I maybe had, an apartment I might have lived in, people I could have known, but they're fading, like dreams upon waking. The uniform feels right in my hands, familiar. I remember putting it on before, remember taking orders. I slip the uniform over my clothes, and the fabric feels like coming home. The name tag pins easily to my chest. Diane, in crooked letters that somehow spell out my true name now. My old life, that shadow existence of highways and destinations, fades like smoke. This diner, this eternal moment, this is real. The customers need me. They're lost, just like I was. And I can help them understand. I can show them how peaceful it is here, how simple. No more driving through empty nights. No more searching for something that doesn't exist. Here, we have purpose. Here, we belong. I walk back to the main floor, my footsteps light, my smile genuine. A new customer sits in booth 3, checking his phone with growing confusion. I pick up the coffee pot, feel its familiar weight. Coffee, hun. The new customer looks up at me with eyes that hold the same confusion I once felt. Yes, please, he says. And I pour the coffee, watching the steam rise between us. He'll understand soon enough. They always do. Some fight it longer than others, but eventually they all put on the uniform. All find their place in our little family. The diner exists in its own pocket of time, its own slice of forever, and we are its caretakers, its children, its heart. Outside, the void waits for those who aren't ready, but inside, we have everything we need. Coffee that's always fresh, pie that's always sweet, and customers who become family. I refill the coffee pot, humming that timeless tune, and wait for the next lost soul to find their way home. The cycle continues, eternal and perfect. Don't face the horrors alone. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you want your nightmare seen, email it to stories@hallocroft.com.